Hi guys, this is Sidney. So I'm on here right now as I was guided by Archangel Michael and Archangel Uriel, especially a lot of the angelic realm energy coming through, and specifically they came through in my sleep time last night, coming into this morning. So I had some telepathic communication and I received further information about the energy that is currently taking place, and the bigger purpose behind what's going on and what's really preparing us for the future ascension timeline, and what may take place in the world, as in world events, and as light workers, as earth angels, or however you resonate. If you're tuned into this video and find yourself resonating, it may be for you despite all these names and labels and titles. Always tune into the energy. That's the first and foremost. All other things are for just communication purposes at this time as humans that we use. So just have that in mind. So just tune into your own heart and take what resonates and leave what doesn't. So as you may be aware, if you've been following all the latest videos, I've been connecting with Archangel Michael very often since mid-March, and I received the information from the angelic realm that he's going to play a big role for the collective, especially in the year 2025, in regards to individuals rising up, expressing their truth, and then expressing their authentic self, or sharing their authentic expression in the world that is full of comparison, in the world that is full of competition, in the world that is full of judgment still. So it requires a lot of bravery, courage, boldness, and inner strength to do that in front of people or within your circle. But that is what is being called for individuals in the collective at this time. And that's on an individual level, and also on a collective level. A lot of people may be revealing the truth that they felt like they couldn't speak up about, whether it could be personal, whether it could be like kind of whistleblower type of energy, or any of the dark hidden truth about something that's going to reveal the shadow to the light. They're being called to step up on a soul level. So that's all going to take place, and you will witness and observe more of these news coming out in the world, is what I'm going to share. So just have in mind that I had to wake up in the middle of the night, receive more information from Archangel Michael, Archangel Uriel, and then consolidate further. And I went back to sleep, but I was working a lot in my sleep time, so I'm a bit low in energy right now, and I may speak a little bit slowly, but just have that in mind, okay? So a lot of the information came, and I try to write everything down, but I'm just going to let my intuition guide me through this, so that any information that is being shared and that I remember is divinely supported in divine timing. So I trust that, and I trust Source, Gaia, and my spirit team, and my higher self. So I'll just go with the flow and tap into whatever message that needs to be shared at this point in time. Okay. So when I woke up in the middle of the night, it was around like 4 o'clock, and then after like receiving and working and consolidating, and then I was about to go back to bed again, and I started to see all these light coats coming down, like literally with my own eyes. So that's usually happens when the energy is very intense. We're getting a lot of the celestial support. And it's like it was kind of sparkles of diamond dust, like kind of looking. That's how I can best describe. It's like confetti, kind of like little like sparkles of light, like everywhere, that people do not see, people do not recognize, but it is taking place. And ever since I got here, I've been connecting very heavily with the sun, where I connected with a lot of the angelic realm, and especially Archangel Metatron. And yesterday, I was outside connecting silently with the sun again, as I was divinely pulled to do so. I connected with the energy of Archangel Mariel, Archangel Michael, Archangel Uriel, Archangel Metatron, Seraphim, Seraphiel. So they have been coming through, and the information that I'm receiving from the angelic realm as I'm sharing this, they're coming through once again, in this video, that they're supporting to further open up our heart chakra. So also Archangel Raphael is coming through as well. So if you've been drawn to certain colors or rays that's connected to all these archangels, like that blue, royal blue color, for Archangel Michael, the green, any green color or olive color, for Archangel Raphael, with Archangel Mariel, any kind of pink or magenta, that ruby kind of color, and Seraphim, Seraphiel, so very soft aquamarine blue to very soft yellow, soft green, soft pink, all those like emerald green, like these different rays. So if you've been connecting to specific colors or drawn to these specific colors, perhaps you were connecting with these energies, and it was to support you with certain energies within your energy body. Perhaps you are healing, perhaps you are integrating certain aspects that you've been healing from, perhaps you are just awakening deep in your shadow work, looking into yourself with a lot of self-awareness and observance. So take however it resonates for you. If you've been drawn to particular colors, and also if you've been drawn to a lot of purple lately, there could be a message, or this particular video message could be for you, for some reason I'm guided to share. So ever since I got here, I think I shared this in the latest video, I've been connecting very heavily with Yeshua timeline, the Jesus timeline, you know, that Mother Mary and all this, and then for the past 2 days, all these energies, until just before I got on camera, I kept receiving further information about all these different continents around the world, where they still had a lot of the contaminated religious beliefs, conditioning, that is governing the people's mind and people's subconscious, that it's anchoring the energy or lowering the vibration of people, therefore the lowering the vibration of Gaia, has been what's been coming through. And so here, something that happened to me was right after I finished recording that message for Lightworkers video, where I suddenly connected with Gaia, and I felt the need to record the message outside. Right after that, after finishing recording, it was on like the second floor, like the outdoor balcony, So I took the escalator and I went down, and when I go down, there's like a little plaza area where like little vendors are there, and they're just selling fruits or clothes or some foods, and there's some tables in the middle. And all of a sudden, this clothes shop that I never really paid attention to had my attention. So I just walked towards, and I was looking at this clothes. It was like a local kind of shop, so that's I was interested in it. And then the moment I walked towards that shop, this lady, this came to me saying hi, hello, like as if she wanted to talk to me. And then she said, oh, like where are you from, and are you Chinese? And I said, oh, I'm from Korea. And she said something in Chinese Mandarin that I could understand. So I said, are you Chinese? Because she looked like she's Filipino, but she was I think she was saying this automatically without consciousness, but I picked up on it because I could understand a little bit of Mandarin. And she said, no, like I'm learning Mandarin. And she was trying to strike a conversation with me. And the moment she stepped in and said hi, I had this energy like coming to me. There was an intention with her approaching, but then I didn't know what that was. So I went on with the carried on with the kind of in a friendly manner. And then as we spoke, she mentioned, oh, you're like, she was just trying to build up the conversation, And so she's been doing this with people. And then she said, oh, I'm part of this international organization. She didn't say which international organization. As soon as I said, I'm Korean. And she said, like we in our group, we have this Korean couple as well. So she was instantly trying to build a rapport with me by, relating that I'm Korean to something that's common. Like it's something that I notice. And, I just wanted to just quickly end the conversation, but then she kind of went on. So she says something as if she's and oh, we're like so do you go to church, or are you Christian or something like that? And then I immediately knew when she was asking that, after we exchanged where are you from, like are you here on vacation and something like that, the usual kind of the questions. And I immediately knew that she's one of those people that goes around to convert people into Christianity because we have a lot of them in Korea as well, and perhaps many in a lot of different cities around the world. And I share that there's a lot of those the religious beliefs from that manipulated Bible that's kind of that's been putting people's mind and lowering the vibration of this part. And the cats are here as guardians, constantly transmuting these energies. So and she said, oh, do you believe do you go to church, and do you believe in God or something like that? I think she asked me, do you believe in God? And I said, no, like, are you religious or something? Like, I can't remember the exact question. And so I remember saying to her clearly that I don't believe in religious beliefs. I don't, but I believe in God, but not in a religious context, because that's where I'm from, in a truthful manner, right? Because I believe in God, but I don't believe in this current religious context. And she said, oh, I respect your beliefs. So I wanted to end the conversation, and she kind of kept, like wanting to converse with me. She said, oh, are you how's the weather? Do you enjoy the weather here in Philippines? So I said, yeah, I love the warm weather. And then what about Korea? And I said, probably Korea is like a lot colder. And she had this facial expression, and all her expression and the way she's conversing was very much like out of a conditioned pattern, as if it's not conscious. It's like more automatic. So that interaction was divinely guided for me to have certain information about the energies here and the people and the interactions, and they had certain information that I needed to receive. So she said, oh, that's too bad. And her expression, I could tell that it wasn't like sincere, genuine, but it was more out of the automatic response. She was doing this with a lot of different people, more like on a superficial manner. I just, it's just something of my gift that I noticed, and I have a lot of experiences in different industries and social settings and different types of people in my life, especially in this life as well. So it's coming from those experiences, both from my own personal experiences and a lot of different things. And so I immediately noticed that, and she, oh, it's too bad. And she was like, as if she's like trying to validate me, please me, to become more friendly with me so that I open up, so that she can introduce more of these religious things like naturally. It was very tactical, and like you could see through. I've been through a lot of these different kinds of people in business setting, in social settings. So but it's not like I'm witnessing everything, but at the same time I'm noticing, because I want to discern, and when the energy is not right, I disconnect immediately. So and I said, I appreciate all weather, all seasons, because there's something to be grateful for in every season. And she didn't get it, because she was so much programmed. All her reaction and responses were like more like manualized, I would say. But she was with another woman, and just before I replied, she introduced, she asked me what my name was, so I asked what their name was. And then she called her, this woman who was standing next to her, and she came. And then they told their names. And then I said, there's something to be grateful for in in all seasons and all weather. So I appreciate everything. And the moment I said this woman who started the conversation with me didn't really connect it or tuned in, because she was more like a robotic response, very much unconscious. But this woman, I could immediately receive the energy that she was resonating with what I was saying, because she didn't have that concept, or she has forgotten it. But now that I'm sharing this, it was reminding her for some reason that she was resonating. And then I said, I'm wrapping things up, and I just said, bye-bye, basically. And we had a, like very friendly goodbye. But that energy was very like not too sticky, but very like she's trying to attach her energy to mine, trying to sort of insinuate on a mental level. That's how they come off usually, as a very friendly person. And then in Korea, like, these people are everywhere. I encountered them countless times. And there are different groups as well behind. Sometimes it's not just Christianity. There are like weird religious groups that trying to recruit people. and they take you to this temple, and when you go there you will receive something like a blessing or something, and then you have to pay, and they usually target people who seem a little bit weak, naive, or something that they can play with, you know, basically, that they can, like, in a way underestimate, like children or teenagers or people who seem to be in like despair or like in a very dark energy. They target them because it's easy for them to target them when they're naive, or when someone has hard time saying no, or someone seems to be in a dire need of validation or help, or like the support or the sense of like belonging or something, you know. They usually target these people around. And for some reason in my life, as an adult, I worked in downtown Seoul in many different areas of like business centers, in like, you know, like these like trade tower building, IFC tower buildings, and in the middle of like just different parts of like financial centers or business centers. So they're usually there in these like big areas targeting people like that. And it's just, I haven't really had this in a while, for many years, and it was like kind of like my spirit team wanted me to experience it, and it was their way to let me know that these people are everywhere in Philippines, which I shared a little bit. Like they have sermons playing out loud, and all this people being conditioned with this religious beliefs. So at this time, once again, Source Gaia and my spirit team want me to share that your mindset is very important, which I've been sharing quite a bit about, you know, especially in my latest videos as well, where I was like sharing this cooking and my fashion, you know, like as my joy, and all of that. These videos are a part of an expression of my truth, right? And that's just as an example. Right now, the energy is all these religious beliefs, especially the conditioned mind, has been breaking down what is good and what is bad. And we've been conditioned to be a certain way, do certain things, say certain things to be liked, to be popular, as some sort of an external validation that we felt like we didn't have inside. Because in the survival age, we lived with feelings of not being seen, feelings of not being heard as you are, for who you are. You constantly had to play small or play down, play yourself down in order to please other people, so that you feel like you have a sense of belonging, that you fit in and they approve you. And also this ganging up mentality, right? When you don't do certain things that your particular friend group or a social group or work group or even colleague group that do not like, you are out of it, and they kind of harass you. It's kind of a bully, right, going on, like the gang up mentality. So this is very common in a lot of these different social settings, business settings, you know, schools, of course, like big bullying, but also this is going on in adult life or the situations. So we all have this, we live with a lot of this subconscious fear and anxiety and stress inside, whether I'm fitting in, whether I'm pleasing them, whether I am so you don't provoke someone who has a authority figure to approve your whatever that you need in your business or in your for your school or for your job or for your specific desire as part of your dream, you know. So it's about the authority game, and this is all coming from, a lot of it is coming from that manipulated religious beliefs that's been heavily conditioning people. So people are so afraid on a subconscious level to be bad or to be seen as bad based on this morality game. Call it the morality game, the moral of what is right and what is wrong. And these rules were made in the religious context, that if you do this, you're good. If you do that, you're bad. If you do this, you're going to go to heaven. If you do that, you're going to go to hell. If you do this, you're blessed. If you do that, you are sinned. You're going to be punished or rewarded, right? So these constant plays of judgments, so-called the judgment day, which doesn't mean that way, but that's scaring a lot of people on a subconscious level, right? Just like the word karma and justice, these words have been contaminated with different frequencies. And we are using this just like this woman who's like on autopilot. She's just repeating like a robot, saying the same thing with like a manual imprinted within her. She's playing that out, building up the conversation, the very tactical way to approach someone, to convince someone, persuade someone, to make them believe what she was taught to, like this kind of salesperson, just on a religious context. It's the same thing right now. So a lot of the times we say the things like that unconsciously, automatically, on autopilot. We do the things in the same way, and we behave in a certain way like that. And so we're being called to really look into these areas. And as this energy of the so what I received as information was the Saturn is going to be in Aries for the next 3 years, I believe, until like the first half around that time in 2028, from May this year. So we're still having the Saturn in I believe Pisces, but it's going to go soon into Aries, which means that all the preparation one by one since the year 2023, 2024, 2025, everything is related. It's like a stepping stone. It's a momentum builder. So in 2024, a lot of souls chose to go in and chose to look into their egoic aspect within themselves, the shadow aspect, or the inner wounds, or whatever, however you resonate with these terms. It's all unique for everyone, right? And it was to help them prepare for certain things that they chose on a soul level, so meaning their blueprint, which I shared in recent previous videos lately. It's all tying into this. So from the year 2025, 2026, 2027 up to 2028 will be a massive, both the energy of vision and the laying the groundwork, once again, is what I'm going to share. So, for the next 3 years, I shared a little bit in my previous videos about these 5 different elements that in Chinese fortune reading or Korean fortune reading that we incorporate. One is tree, fire, metal, earth, and water. And these 5 elements are broken down into the yang energy of the fire or the yin energy of the fire, or all these different 5 elements. And this there's a way of reading this, what it means. And just like the zodiac sign, Chinese zodiac sign, if you're born in the year blah blah year 2025, you carry the energy of that snake energy this year in your makeup, energy makeup. So there are certain characteristics, and it's relating to certain personality types, and it indicates certain blueprints that, like, the jobs, the career path you may have in this lifetime, or interest or passion, or the type of relationship even you will go to. Like they usually go to these people who can read this to predict whether you are a good match to your fiance, or before marriage, and to make sure and also like that you just had this child, and they want to look at the chart to give the child a name that's complementing, or this lack that's going to boost up the energy that he's born with, basically, like all these things. So that's very commonplace, especially in China and Korea. I don't know about Japan or other countries, but at least in these 2 countries. So it's I share this, the next 3 years, 25, 26, 27 will have a lot of fire energies. That's from that term, like reading. I'm not an expert from the kind of, like the surface level information that I know. Is from it usually the fire energy brings a lot of the revolutionary energy and changes, and also it has this very expansive energy, and also an astrological way of interpreting as well, right? And in that also, it also indicates a lot of creative force. When someone has a lot of fire energy in their chart, is usually with people who's in the art industry or creative business or on TV, like a lot of like the singers and actors. They may have a lot of this fire energy, or it's related to media, communication. And interestingly, the 3 years after that, 28, 29, 30, is all metal and earth energy. So with that, I received the confirmation. We will ignite, so reignition energy that I shared in one of the latest videos, that we will have to reignite our sacral, that has a lot of the creative life force. And with that, in especially in 2024, or since the beginning of 2024, we've been continuously tapping into our monad, which I mentioned in 2024 in a lot of the videos back then, about the monadic merge. And monad meaning merging with our higher self, a lot of the higher chakra energy integrating with the lower ones, so it's lacking in our heart center, and heart expanding is to connect to our monad, where all our wisdom, gifts, and talents, not just from this lifetime, but the entire lifetimes that you were on earth, or even like your galactic lifetimes, or however you resonate with these terms, right? If you're a starseed, if you're an earth angel, you had existed for years and years and years, right? So, but when we come down here, we forget everything. So it's kind of our way back to remembering who we are, remembering how powerful we are as a creator, that you are the creator. But right now, for a lot of individuals, for a lot of people in the collective, we've been living or being placed voluntarily, because we chose this on a soul level, to play this game of victimization. And the bigger perspective, or the purpose behind it, is on a soul level, you're collecting all this information as to what it's like to feel victimized, what it's like to feel powerless, what it's like to feel angry, what it's like to feel shamed and feeling guilty, what it's like to feel angry, what it's like to feel sad and depressed. That's all representing the shadow, meaning the darkness, so that it really pushes you to remember who you are, meaning, whoa, I was the light that I was looking for. You see? That's the God within consciousness in a very simple explanation. I forgot who I was. I was distracted by all this conditioning that there's like a higher force, higher plane, that's to save me, that's to help me get out, and that's the only way. That's the limitation, right? The lack mentality, the insecurity within. So what do? We search for something to depend on, something to rely on. That's where all these attachments are formed, and the energy vampire, so-called. And then when someone seems like they're loving, kind, generous, giving, people who have a lot of insecurities, a lack of validation within themselves, they hold on to these people, eventually loving them, and later end up creating expectations from them to validate them, to see them, to hear them. And when they don't receive it, they will what? Play a victim and start to blame, start to create some negative narratives in their mind that's based on their own projections. So that's going to create a lot of assumptions and judgments towards the person who's not providing that what you need, not giving you the benefits that you used to enjoy, right? I'm just talking, it could be like an energetic exchange, emotional exchange, mental exchange, or physical exchange, or material exchange, however it is. This was the world, and it's still going on, and still people are healing, peeling of one more layer, one more layer, one more layer into these programmings. And so that's where everyone's in a different season and a unique journey right now. So right now, because this is so heavy, what's going to create is a lot of the further separation between so-called the one reality, or the virtual or the parallel reality, or the version of the earth, and the other that is closer to the new earth at this time. That's one is more like lower in vibration. And as I explained and share this a lot, especially at the beginning of 2024, I believe, where that souls will given a choice or an opportunity to wake up or to stay where they are. So that was the whole journey in 2024. A lot of people chose to, okay, like I need help, I want to work on myself, or they say the same thing, but they never apply, or they never take the action. So first thing is, a lot of the people, from my own experience of working one-on-one and with my own experience as well, that I had to get out of this comfort zone and these patterns, is that we tend to get very indulging, or we enjoy talking about it, talking about our problems, talking about what I'm doing, talking about who I am, and talking about what my pain was, talking about this and that, but never really apply what I learned so that I grow. You see, basically it has to be focused on growth, meaning you have to change your behaviors. So in that sense, action speaks a lot louder than words. Someone can say, I love you, I support you, I do this for you, blah, 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 all with words. It's easier. But when you look at the pattern, when you just simply witness, observe, look at their actions, right? And with this, the message is, especially for light workers or anyone resonating, you may still feel triggered, but this is something that I'm going to share. So it's like a kind of a the North Star that you can kind of can lead you to, is that you want to continue to observe your own behaviors, where your dependence lies. And right now we're working with a lot of the root chakra. We have been doing this since the end of March, especially with the 4 energy, with this like the square. So we are at this integration point right now, where the expression needs to be integrated, the truth expression, the authentic expression. So a lot of the souls in the collective who have done the work, this is based on people who have opened up and cleared a lot of their throat chakra, really faced their inner shadows honestly with radical truth within themselves first and foremost, and confronted their own egoic aspects and patterns, and they have really applied something different, meaning they chose differently despite temptation to settle into the comfort zone by constantly talking about what they know, what they feel, what they learn, but they never apply, you see. It has to be applicable. So that Virgo energy of the practical emotions has to come into play, or you're not just getting sucked too into that Piscean energy of getting really like too emotional, where the balance has to be met. So you learn something about your own illusion, basically your own illusion of how powerless, the belief that how powerless you were, or this lack mentality of constant comparison that's going on a subconscious level. That if someone, so there's going to be the separation of the 2 worlds is also related to this. The people, the group will have more distinction. This group will start to rise up, meaning their frequency is rising up, and their aura, the color of their aura have changed. They have integrated now. These souls, this particular group, or the divine feminine rising, or this leadership group that is arising, that have been prepared, they're now embodying the golden aura, is what I'm going to share, particularly from Gaia and Source for Ascension and Lightworkers and anyone resonating. So I actually saw the color of this aura. It's like bright, it's not like yellow, but it's very golden, shining golden. So this message came to me constantly very heavy since the 3rd quarter of last year, about the gold order, or the ensure gold message. And it was about this: we needed to connect to the higher self, and then integrate, constantly heal whatever, that emptying the room, creating the room within your energy body, releasing a lot of any of the lower so-called emotional baggage, or the karmic baggage that you've been holding on to, or you've been caring for others as light workers or generational curse breakers, or however you resonate, that your soul chose to volunteer, right, to do. it was the process of shutting off basically your old role, your meaning old identity. So it was a constant process of shedding. And that's where a lot of the rebirth energy that people talk about in spiritual communities rooting from is what I'm going to share. It could be shared and interpreted and seen in unique different points of view based on one's vibration and who they're connecting to and sharing to, resonating with, right? It could be slightly different, but what Gaia, Source, and my spirit team had me focus on sharing is just based on this core energy that I'm directly connected to Gaia that I'm receiving. So it's all rooting out from that. So someone might interpret it as Phoenix rising. Someone might say it's birth and death and rebirth moment, right? All these ideas, or expanding, or like these ideas, lotus flowers. And so with that, Kuan Yin's energy has been coming up a lot of it, especially right now in the April, with a lot of the number 4 energy. And when you look at all these numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, like how it's written, we think that it's just, it has no energy meaning, but it's sacred geometry when you look at it. A lot of the language has been modified as well and contaminated, westernized. In the age of darkness experimentation, when you really go into the Asian texts and the scripts and the truth that is written, or the wisdom behind it, is all sacred geometry, number 3, the round, and also the 4, the shape as well. So it's really like solidifying what we went through with the water energy. When you look at the number 3, there's like a round. So especially now, a lot of the Yeshua, that energy, all these religious timelines have been coming through, because all these different timelines, when we talk in human language sense, we talk in the linear sense of what took place and what is taking place now and what will take place in the future. You see what I mean? But actually everything is multidimensional. Everything is happening simultaneously. And so these timelines are continuously playing out while we are living now. And so that's how we connect to our past life experiences or past events. And that I shared when I was in Osaka about the Back to the Future. When you look at the title, it's interesting enough, right? Back to the Future. When on a literal sense, it's like, doesn't make sense, right? The future is forward, but why is it back to the future? And in the movie, when you go to the future and you choose differently, your past starts to change in accordance to that. You see what I mean? So that movie also was, a product of a lot of people downloading something from their higher self or something like that, right? Like a lot of artists do. And so we were to merge with this, and this integration period up till now, the solidifying, was to settle in different energies in your light body, in your auric field. So a lot of people's aura, or the color of the aura, changed. And especially the people who have activated the gold order within themselves, that carry in their blood or the DNA, it has activated. And when you see their aura, it's like a bright golden light. Like what is coming is like in a lot of the medieval Christian based paintings, like there's depiction of Satan and angels and all these like amazing paintings. And I remember, like personally, I used to love going to the museum in Trafalgar Square in London. When I was in London, when you go there, you see all these paintings, And I remember just sitting there. I could sit there for like, an hour or something, like a little bit of exaggeration is an hour, but like, not having time in mind, but just like amazed by the this artistry and how people can draw like such things with details, and is as if they're alive because it has its own soul of the painter. And I remember just like looking, like just standing there, just not thinking, and but just like looking at all these images. But I wasn't trying to study what the symbology meant, what the sign meant, and this means this, not on a mental level, but for some reason I was connecting. So for some reason that is coming through, and a lot of these energies right now, we have integrated. And just like when you see like someone sacred, or how they portrayed someone sacred, like an angel or like a god, or these saints, they have this like bright golden aura, like the circle behind them. That's what I'm seeing, and that's what is coming for me to share. So if you are resonating, if you are a light worker to a high caliber is what I'm going to share, then you will resonate. And just this may be a confirmation that your aura has changed. You have settled in successfully these new energies into your energy field. And we went through a lot of the hard, difficult, or I share that before it may be difficult to push, but now with this water energy, and what came was the reason why, or the bigger purpose behind why we're working so much with the divine feminine energy, or this consciousness now, to bring that in to all this new leadership, is so that we build a completely different reality, the world that is the new earth, so called, or the new golden age, or however you resonate with these terms, or ascended earth, 5D earth. Everybody has different this just terminology that we use for now, right? Is we are just starting to rebuild this, and a lot of the Pluto in Capricorn group babies will have very strong blueprints that they're born with, because the Capricorn it's governed by Saturn, and it's about the structure. So they will build, but as for us, older generation, for the next generation, we are doing this work for paving the way in one sense or another. So especially so-called a way shower, if you're a way shower like me, light worker, you work with frequencies, earth angels, however you resonate with these terms, that you know where you are, you know who you are, you know what you went through, and you clearly see the process of how you took on all these karmic energies from your immediate family line in this lifetime, and that how it's been connected to all the ancestral lines, and you have an idea or two about your past life, and that it could be particularly for you that your aura successfully integrated or activated this this higher strands of DNA, is what I'm going to share, that's manifested on a physical level or energetic level as this, you carrying out this golden aura as the kind of a marker for that, is what I'm going to share. And this color is like you have your own core frequency, and that shows different auric colors, but just that this golden aura just represents the work that you have been doing to come to this point, is what I'm going to share. So also as the pioneer group, certain people in the collective have been working right now it's, you know, of course it's not the majority, it's a very few selective group, especially within the spiritual community too. It doesn't matter how big your so-called group is, for example, based on the idea or the concept of popularism, you know, how many followers you have, how many like influence you have, like so-called influencer position. All of this has nothing to do with this. It's all just directly from source is what I'm guided to share. So take however it resonates, and this message is to be shared so that people who need guidance and support in the spiritual community, as they're waking up, as they're still in the process of healing, having to face their own shadows that they want to run away from or hard to look into at times. It may further trigger a lot of other people in the collective as this new group step out, because they will be very boldly, out loudly expressing their truth, meaning they remember who they are, they remember their power, they know who they are, which has been a very long journey, and as a result of that, they now embodied that golden aura in their energy body. And when the throat chakra is open, you know, basically you see through a lot of things that people don't think that you may recognize. And this can scare a lot of people, intimidate a lot of people, because as I shared before, people think that when you know a lot about them, because a lot of people are used to hiding who they are, used to hide their pure intentions. Sometimes they're conscious of them hiding these things, or sometimes they're unconscious that they're hiding these things. Is automatic as a pattern. Whatever it is, it triggers them, it intimidates them, because on a subconscious level, they try to fit in. So meaning they had to play small in one way or another, or they had to act a certain way, or sometimes it could be like they had to act like they're stronger than how they really feel inside, or they're like superior than others and how they really feel inside. You know, these anxieties and insecurities that drove them to create certain ego types within them, inflated ego or deflated ego, however it is. Or sometimes you play both depending on the type of people that you're with, that if you feel intimidated, you deflate your ego, and then if you're with certain groups of people that you think that you feel like you can easily intimidate them, you inflate your ego. So one plays out these games, right? And so when you're in that situation, because that's the reality of what's taking place in a lot of individuals in the collective, as this particular group rises and more will wake up, and a lot of children are, you know, already born with a lot of high vibrational energies and memories already. Children, they seem harmless, but so they're going to be less attacked, but still a lot of people are even attacking children based on morality judgment that's been heavily conditioned through religious beliefs. And you know, it's basically spreading hate, and when there is hate, love do not exist. Love does not exist, you see, in your heart, meaning. So that was the game or the strategy of the certain group and institutions in the Age of Darkness experimentation, as I repeatedly said in many of the previous videos. They will start to compare at times consciously or subconsciously or unconsciously. It's going to trigger something. You see, the light triggers the darkness, simply as that, and moth to a flame is what is coming. or if you turn on the light immediately when you're outside, you will notice a lot of the bugs and flies attracted to the light and attached to the light. You see, as light workers, or if you're in these kind of so-called group, you are particularly also, what I'm going to share is to continue to stay discerning, continue to keep your boundaries. And something that I'm also guided to remind is that you're not responsible to manage other people's emotions or situations, and also you're not responsible for other people's healings, and you're not responsible to please other people for their expectations once they attach, because it's not coming from a place of judgment. So if you are in that place, you also have to continue to grow, to not judge certain types of people, but simply witness them, notice their patterns, the words that they speak, the patterns. You know, people reveal who they are eventually, and look at their actions and the patterns of actions, and you can recognize their energy without illusion or delusion. And then based on that, you can make simply a decision, not a judgment, is what I'm going to share. So there's like a difference between judgment and a decision, and also difference between humility and deflated ego, or playing small or lowering yourself that appears like you're humble, but there's more like humble bragging, right? That's part of it. It's just a game. So real humility means you're constantly staying curious to learn, and the basis for that is your desire, your soul desire to grow and expand further, because you are limitless. You see, you are external, you are eternal, you are infinite nature. So focus, when we continue to focus on it, continue to do so. And so that's what is being called, if you are resonating as a light worker, or this like this particular group, or you know, even though you may feel like you're not in this particular sense, but this is what I'm going to share, is this is like giving people like kind of a roadmap to where they want to, kind of the head guiding light for them, even though they're in a healing phase, or they're facing their own like inner demons, I would say, inner shadow, that they were judged as bad, if you admit, that created difficulty for you to admit these parts of yourself that's bad, because that was not good for you and you were being punished. So that's why it's so hard for us at times to acknowledge all our aspects within oneself, not just the good, but also this hidden shadow self, you see, because of that's how the conditioning works. So just see this from a neutral standpoint as much as you can, is what I'm going to share from a higher perspective. Okay, so and also like arrogance and confidence, there's a difference. You can be very confident, and nowadays in this energy, in the collective on earth, when you are very confident and express your truth, express your voice, and express your joy, express your passion, it's going to trigger a lot of people in the collective as they hold a lot of this shadow energy, because whether it's conscious or subconscious or unconscious, when you have fear, it immediately ties to the insecurity. That's why the root chakra, the Pluto, is helping us, and the grounding and working is all related to ancestral karma as well, the survival energy. And when we work with that, we transform scared to sacred. You see, that's how you transform. And when you have a lot of lack belief, limitations, it has nothing to do with the kind of house that you live in, the materials, or the how much money that you have in your bank account that you can afford this or that. It's about the energy that I'm talking about when I say lack. So you could be very materialistically abundant or monetarily affluent right now at this point, but that doesn't mean you are abundant in your energy field or in your chakra. You see, you could play out a lot of the lack energy and the insecurity in the root still. That's what I'm guided to explain a little bit or share for people to that's going to resonate or need the support at this time, or a reminder, so that when you have that energy within you in your chakra somewhere, those people are going to be triggered, right? And they will start to compare, whether it's subconscious or conscious. And then at that point, they're now faced with a choice. And that's where the self-awareness plays a very big role. If you're observing your own shadow playing out this duality game within yourself based on conditioning, that you notice you having these triggering moments, difficulty feeling this, or having this urge or temptation to hate the person who triggered you, meaning like now you're projecting and blaming, which is a very powerless state. Immediately on a subconscious level, you've been so used to the patterning to assume and believe that you are a victim. That's why you blame. That's why you complain, because it's not in your power. You're not happy where you are. You're not happy how you feel, so you put it out on others. You see what I mean? Basically. So when you do that, just be aware and notice where this is coming from. And when you recognize why this is taking place by going in or meditating or asking your spirit team once again, your guardian angel, help me to come to clarity, to understand where of my own duality this judgment comparison is coming from. And to do that, what I'm going to share from the angelic realm is if you are particularly in this place, I am seeing a particular group in the collective who's going through some sort of shadow work still, then you can connect with nature and receive the support of nature as a safe ground for you to tap into. Because the reason why we weren't able to share how we really felt or share what we really thought was because we were scared of being punished, scared that they could hurt us, scared that they would pain us, scared that they would kill me, right? Put me in pain, basically. It could be your parent, it could be teachers, it could be your boss, or it could be in many different lifetimes, kings who had authority, or like certain institutions, right? We were scared, so we had to play like, yes, I follow you. You see what I mean? And now this group is saying that I understand my power, I'm a sovereign being, and I express my joy, what I love, in a very unique way. And it's going to trigger this aspect within themselves, and they will start to compare, or they do this, they go here and there, that's how they live. And people have their own unique assumptions based on their own experiences that shape their own belief systems, you see, and their inner wounds, unique wounds. And they're going to create their own narratives within their mind that's going to be projected, meaning coming out as assumptions, meaning judgment. On a tricky way, you are trying to play that you are the judge, not the other person, to feel compensated for feeling powerless, while playing small, that's not who you are. So what you're trying to do is, this is not who I am, but I'm still too scared to be myself. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create an illusion. You see, that's where we're working still a lot with Neptunian energy. Illusion that I'm better than you. Game. You see, that's where the judgment, the basis of the judgment is I'm the judge of you, which is a big illusion, right? That's all imprinted from a lot of the religious beliefs, especially the higher, the lower, the heaven, the hell, right? And so when you are in that game, you will start to compare. Why? Because you are trying to compare to judge. That's the morality judgment of what is right, what is wrong, what is better, what is worse, what is rewarding, what is punishable. You deserve punishment. Everyone is sinned. You know that idea? So that's where a lot of this Yeshua energy is coming through, to further with Christ consciousness energy, to purify our heart space so that we can expand our heart energy, to further release negativity, to further release judgment. That's been ingrained in our subconscious over decades and centuries, and we are all carrying out our ancestors now. You see what I mean? So as you do so, the reason why you start to hate certain people or hate certain people's groups is because on a subconscious level, after your comparison, based on what you see, you create an assumption that they're in a better place than you, which is a comparison that's leading to competitive energy. You see? This energy was the basic energy to create all kinds of wars in the age of darkness experimentation, to compete. Still going on, right? I'm better than you, you are worse than me. Or my country is better than you. Our language is better than you. My talents are better than you. And which I shared also in the art industry, all these institutions with authorities judging, critiquing your work, death of artists, as I shared in the video, in one of those latest videos, right? It had focused us in constant conflicts rather than life, which I shared as the Charlie Chaplin video. Life, life, we forgot life. That's the abundance. We forgot to live. We were so used to survive. But because we are a creator, I can create both. Or I can choose either one of these, right? You can do whatever you want, basically. And there's enough for everyone. This concept of the abundance has been hidden, had been suppressed, had been eradicated through a lot of the colonization of ancient civilizations or tribes, or especially the Native Americans or Native people of all these different countries and different parts of the regions, right? From the Western, started from the Western world, from the Europe especially. I also shared in the latest video, in Netherlands was like the first stock exchange was around 1400s or something. So when they arrived, like the Columbus, when he arrived in land of America, first contacted Indians, the Native Americans. My spirit team source and Gaia had me see this clip where this woman was sharing, pointing out the misguided information about the history, or this like the truth, revealing the truth about the history. That she shared what the Columbus actually wrote in his journal. That's open for public, kind of, how do you call it, like archive, that they were the Indians. You would not believe how these people are, that they're so giving, and there's, when you ask, they never say no. They're so giving, and they're always sharing. So where he comes from in the European world, or that industrialized world that started to have all this darkness of that age of darkness energy was very heavy. Already the financial system and the stock exchange, the markets and capitalism, they already lived in a lot of lack, and now they came to the world of abundance, and instead of appreciating and honoring that as part of from a bigger perspective, they start to exploit, is a word that is coming for me to share. They start to exploit. That's where the colonization comes, and that's where this mentality comes, that when you assume that someone is naive, when you assume that someone is kind, when you assume that someone is loving and generous, that you start to, on a subconscious level that's inherited from one generation to another, to exploit, to take advantage of, to use them for your benefit, to feel your lack inside in one way or another. So that's one of the phenomena that I also shared about the narcissistic tendencies and all these things. That is where it's all heavily rooted from. So this idea of exploitation created a lot of colonization, and in the process of colonization, they murdered a lot of people. They murdered people horribly. They treated people horribly. That started to anchor down energy of anger, resentment in these people who never experienced this energy before, you see. And one of the things to convert them is to rid of them from their own native language, which has their own it carries own unique vibration of abundance, certain words, so they couldn't use their language. And so so in every colony, when they take over one country, to convert them, their mind is usually through the culture. First is the language. And this also happened in Korea as well. When you look at the history of the Korea, during Japanese occupation, people were not allowed to speak Korean, and children were only taught Japanese in schools. That's how they colonize and try to tame people. And also what I'm going to share is there were a lot of horrible experiences that were going on, experiments, something that's kind of hard to believe that you can do to another human being. For example, especially with Korea-Japan relationship, which has a lot of dark karmic energies and histories, where a lot of these women were sent to cold comfort women for like sexual pleasures for a lot of Japanese soldiers. That created a lot of these energies. Also, they did a lot of horrible experimentations to develop their medicine and science. So what they used to do, based on the information I received, was they cut people off when they're alive. Say they study the reactions and what's going on. Can you imagine? And also just like civilians or prisoners, especially the political prisoners too. And they inject certain, like we do to animals, they inject certain things to the human. So they study how they're reacting, like what we do with mice these days, or animals, certain animals. So this is coming to me with, in my very first job out of college was Johnson & Johnson Medical. I was in this department called endosurgery, and this is like a kind of a device where it's called minimal surgery, that you just poke a hole into the area that you want to have surgery, and instead of having like cutting it open, which is going to, is like to reduce recovery time. And we were like trained to memorize, you know, as a salesperson, to like different hospitals, to talking to doctors, and in this special department. So I was sent to Cincinnati. There's a huge lab in Johnson & Johnson Medical Lab for 5 weeks, and the sales people are regularly sent to all these different offices, countries, and these labs regularly to update their knowledge. So the purpose was that we have a very professional conversation with the doctors, because we already have a lot of the medical knowledge and the procedures. So I had to pass a test, and I had to study anatomy. I had to study all this like surgical procedures, like I'm in a medical school or something. And we would have all these pigs in the laboratory, in the facility, and we would use our equipment that we need to sell and do the exact procedure on pigs. So imagine nowadays, pigs have their own consciousness too. Animals have their own consciousness, and we treat them as if we treat them horribly in horrible conditions to create more chicken, or for your nuggets, for fast food chains, or like these beefs that people consume in mukbang videos as these huge giant steaks or something like that. You know, that's how the exploitation is continuing, is what I'm going to share. So that's coming to me. That's how it was back then. Once you colonize, you have ownership over these people in these countries, and they're not being seen as equal as you. They're less important, they're savage, and something that you can do whatever you want with. You see, there's no humanity, there's no love. But, you know, I would say it's not for everyone. But imagine all these people who are in a particular job or position that they didn't want to do, but they felt like they had no other choice but to do this in order to survive or feed their family or something. Amount of guilt and shame that they had to hold on to, and this energy coming down to next generations and all of that after they die, or their own karma as well. Also the people who have done this to these people. So what they would, you know, they just inject all these horrible viruses or disease to people alive, and a lot of other horrible things that a lot of the Korean dramas used to portray up to, I believe, about 90s. Since 2000 it started to reduce, and since 2000 energy started to shift. When I look back, the cultural exchange between China and Japan started to open up. So these things have been going on. This is very extreme dark case that I'm going to share, which I also tapped into in when I was in Osaka, that I had to transmute a little bit. And then now Philippines was also colonized by the Spanish government for about 300 years based on the information I received, and also Japanese occupation as well. So this land also carries a lot of the heavy force. And when I was in Cambodia as well, it was colonized by the French. There were a lot of survival lack energy mentality there. Extremely sticky energy among people. The poverty consciousness or the poverty mindset there. So when you look at the civil war that have been going on in Myanmar, that's not broadcasted as much, especially, you know, with the earthquake. Because what I received as information is they're banned or blocked from connecting to all this media or even social media. So what's going on is not being shared out to the outside world. So that's the reality we live in. That's the world we live in. We think that we are getting AI and having robots and asking, hey Sherry, what time is it? And these Sherry answers, like in this kind of world where people are in war zone every day. So this energy is still very prevalent and heavy on Gaia is what I'm going to share. So look, when you look at it from a higher perspective, this is still what we are living with on a frequency level, even though the energy of the Gaia is rising, and it's further going to split. And that's where the rainbow bridge is constantly coming in, especially this year onwards. And then eventually, nowadays, you may not have the physical contact with this people in this group, but you can still interact like this online or energetically. But further down the line, you will be completely separated. You see, that's the Ascension timeline. So all this colonizing, that exploitation that has been going on, that terminated a lot of the ancient wisdom, a lot of that human nature or the abundant energy that we used to live in all these tribes. And this was also the case with the Aztec as well, when I don't know if it was the Spanish that first contacted with the Aztec, one of the European countries, as they started to do a lot of exploration outside the country. And they discovered the Aztec in Mexico, and that's how they exactly described. They were very generous, giving, open, sharing, and that's the energy. And when now someone is like that, we underestimate them. We see them as someone to exploit, if not consciously, then subconsciously, if you're not aware. So we play this game out with each other constantly. So because this is taking place right now, as Lightworkers or anyone resonating, we have a lot of experiences and wisdom, right, to come to this point. And when you have integrated a lot of these things, there may be a lot of still assumptions based on how you look, the way you talk, how you appear to be in age. You know, these things all play a part based on these conditionings, right? That people have certain assumptions and projections, but you're not responsible to respond to these projections and work with these reactions or however, because you have to focus on your soul blueprint, which is to help ascension of Gaia, is what I'm going to remind those of you who are going to resonate, if you're resonating on this level. And that it's not coming from a place of judgment, right? And if you have that, continue to be aware of that and continue to release negativity in your energy body, so your heart chakra can open further and you lead people with love. And you with that energy, people feel safe, and that's where they can go in and face their shadow and acknowledge. Because when they don't feel safe, the energy constantly affects them. It's triggering and expanding those lower vibrational energy. It's like that song, like that anxiety song with Dochi, that anxiety gets bigger and bigger. The temptations to escape grows bigger than making you feel safe to look in. So that's where your environment, who you're surrounded with, the workplace, if you're not resonating, you have to make a decision, or relationship that's not serving you, or friendships. It's all up to you to create these environments or change your environment, basically. That's healthy for you or not is part of this. So best is to be in nature. A lot of people have isolated themselves in year 2024 in the collective, who have chose to heal themselves, look in. So they're continuing their healing journey is what I'm seeing and guided to share. So we are to support them in our own ways from a place of detachment, but also from a place of love and kindness. But it's not our job, once again, to validate them constantly or be responsible or feel responsible for their expectations, or their healing, or how they feel, what they think. You see what I mean? So it's a very tricky job. It's a very difficult job. This light worker job, or the position that all the souls volunteer to be in. That's why Earth is the most difficult school. At the same time, when we leave Earth successfully, it's going to be very expanding for our soul. So on a bigger note, okay? So something that I'm guided to share for anyone resonating, or as a reminder, in Farsi, like a Persian language, what I received as information is, when you, let's say you lost, like, oh my god, I lost my earring, where is my earring? Or I left something over there, and there's like a sense of loss, or something disappeared. Then this girl from this Persian heritage in this lifetime, she was, sharing about her culture and the Farsi, the language, and she shared that they say something like, when you, like, how do you say, when you cough and it's like, oh, and in America you say bless you, something like that. Like, there's kind of a cultural response that they say. And when you, in Farsi, when you literally translate, how it's literally translated is, life is more important than what you lost, or what that lost item is. It's like reminding people that people can get caught up in, oh my god, just one thing, what I lost, and it could ruin your trip, it could ruin your day, right? It could ruin whatever in this day and age, right? You lost your precious iPod, or for example, you left it somewhere, oh, it's like that was a gift from this or that, or you have this, that you have, oh, it had all these memories of my childhood and I lost it, and we create all these attachments that immediately it could lower one's vibration to joy, to such sadness and anger, frustration and hatred towards something. It could be towards yourself for not being perfect in the situation to manage everything, or it could be someone, you could target someone to blame, or a situation that, oh, that city was too blah, that person was too blah, or the person next to you, why didn't you tell me that, why didn't you help me, blah blah. It's all because you had me distracted, I forgot this and I lost it, like something of that nature. You see how this these patterns usually play out, right? It's very tiny. It's you're the speck in the whole universe, but at the same time, you are the entire universe. However, it resonates for you. So it's kind of reminding. So all this wisdom are hidden in a lot of these languages, but because just like that woman, we are so programmed. We are like a robot. We just say and respond in an automatic way. We call it superficial in a lot of the times, meaning they're disconnected from themselves, or we hide what we truly want to share, how we really feel, the joy, because we were afraid that other people are going to be jealous, meaning they're going to start to perceive you as someone better. So it lowers someone's confidence. You see what I mean? So the projection is usually because they have this belief that, oh, that person has a better life. Well, the person is looking better in their life. What they're doing seems better. It's all assumptions, right? Based on your own belief of the lack that creates this comparison and triggers a competitive energy within oneself. And the final assumption that they make, if it's like, ooh, that person is better placed, and then you will start to say, oh, you think you're better than everyone else, right? That's how people bring other people down, you see. Or a lot of these things happen in schools, like with children. When you look at the school system, for example, that we grew up in, right? Everyone grew up in. You have to first ask for permission for every single thing. You can't go to the bathroom without asking the permission of the teacher, or if you have something to say and you raise your hand, you might not get picked. You can't express, or what you say will be judged based on teacher's own conditioning and projections and judgments. And then you said something that your teacher did not expect or did not like, you were punished for no reason. That starts to build up a lot of resentment and anger and hatred, right? And that's why all these kids nowadays with high IQ and emotional intelligence and the memories, they're like, I don't want to go to school, or I'm so tired, don't talk to me, leave me alone because I had so much work at school. Like, it was all divinely guided. My team had me see this little clip of the girl. She had very strong Irish accent, and she said she called the police department or fire department or something. And it's like, she was really serious. Can you help me tear down my school? What can I do? What can you do to tear down, demolish my school? And they were like laughing, and because she was really serious, like in the cute way. And then I don't exactly remember, and she says something, it's like, so how do you think it should be done? Someone asked, and she said, oh, I want to have all the teachers in the school when that happens. And the adults on the other side really laughed, because why are they laughing? They can relate to it on a subconscious level. Why she's hating school, why she wants all the teachers gone. You see what I mean? There are a lot of great teachers as well. I'm not this isn't the intention to kind of have it one over the other, but this is just as kind of a symbolic sense, more like that, right? To remind people or the collective right now that you have to ask for permission. It's all based on grades, which is comparison that creates competitiveness. And all these plays that we do in schools is creating all this competitive energy, which is the conflict energy. Our nature, our essence is ease. Like Lao Tzu said, we are part of the nature. Our natural state is ease. when we are not in our natural essence, it's dis-ease, it's discomfort, it's conflict, right? That's going on inwardly or outwardly. Inner war, outer war. And that is what's going on right now. And when the kids say, oh, they have a lot of the adults compete with children too. I grew up with parents who competed with me. Back then I had no idea, but as I start to grow myself, meaning remember who I am more and more over the years, right? I start to recognize clearly, because of their own insecurities and the superior inferior game, when I said something against what they were trying to impose on me, I didn't agree. And I say, why do you always say that kids should listen to adults? And I remember like saying this when I was like 6 or 7. And then because there's something that old man learns from a child and child learns from an old man. It has nothing to do with age, something of that nature. And then they're like, what they used to say, oh, like I paid for your school and food and everything, and now you think you're you know much, you're like speaking again, like speaking up, or something like that. Like this was a very common phrase, like for me growing up, when I was like going through a lot of, because I used to stand up for all these things because I noticed everything for some reason. Meaning it was in my soul blueprint. I had the psychic ability, a very strong intuitive ability, but the process of me like going into the darkness is one by one building all this anger and resentment through these arguments and conflicts and all these soul contracts. I had the emotional attachments to my family and parents, right? So something of that nature, right? I see a lot of these starseed children, or still now, they're like 6 or 7. They're brilliant. They chose to be born in a very karmic setting. And sometimes it doesn't look like they're in a very bad family or a situation, horrible situation, so-called. But it looks like a normal family. It looks like a very happy family. But when you go inside, there are a lot of stuff going on that people think it's just normal, or they don't recognize it. And for me as a child, I noticed every little detail, which constantly I was like observing everything, learning and questioning why people react and act and behave that way. And I would often speak up to my parents about these things, go against, and then it created a lot of it built up a lot of energy because I was being punished constantly for sharing these things. Eventually I just don't talk to them anymore, like even though I had a lot to say. So that's the process. For example, if you relate, so this is still going on, and this exploitation has a relation to the future timeline of Gaia that we are called to build. And with this gold aura, what's activating is the Goldprint. So it's like turning from blue to gold, and that's where the Archangel Michael is coming, and with Archangel Uriel, they're really supporting these individuals. Also anybody in the collective who's choosing to connect, asking for their support and help. They're there for you, okay? Just as a reminder, it's not just for a select few people. I'm sharing this extra because a lot of people will have this comparison that they're in a better position. And truthfully, there is a spiritual hierarchy, something so called, but it's different from the hierarchy based on authority. is more on the energy, that frequency that the soul holds. And you know, there's ancient souls, old souls, newer souls. There's a different order. But when you're on a soul level, souls should not really compare and have this kind of judgment. But when we come down as humans, we carry all this archetype, imprints, conditionings. We play this out. So that's where the difference lies. So, but the best I can explain is, you know, like ascended masters, or so you could be someone of an ascended master, spiritual realm, or the divine realm, however it resonates. I know my order. I know where I'm from. I know who I am. I have remembered, right? As part of my journey to remember and understand the power that I hold within on a soul level. And it took very hard work for me to come to this recognition and acceptance, right? But right now, that is what's going to play out when you share these things, because that's who you are, that is the truth. Then there's going to be a lot of projections made, narratives made, assumptions, right? So something that I'm going to share for anyone resonating at this time is to help them express further, is to help them open up their throat chakra even further, is to share this information that's coming from Source, Gaia, and Galactic Federation as well right now, with Commander Ashtar's coming through once again, with Archangel Michael, that they want me to share this. That when you speak your truth or express your truth from a place of alignment, from a place of inner security, you're not doing this to receive something in return. Meaning right now at this time, a lot of the times artists, like singers who have great fan base, especially like in K-pop, there's a lot of pleasing. Not from like, okay, that's morality judgment place, but more like a neutral standpoint of understanding every individual's unique soul journey. There may be a certain karmic energies or the lessons that one needs to release or transform or learn from, something of that nature, right? So they're in the certain positions or interactions and relationships, and there's a lot of this going on, and they sacrifice who they are for popularity, to be liked, and something of that nature. Sometimes that doesn't mean they don't have like pure love. They share all these things, but they also carry out these could be these energies within them when they're not aware, to play out this authority game within themselves. That's the representation of the ego. So something of that nature is I'm going to share. So when you speak the truth, you're simply stating your expression. That's who you are, and that's enough. When you come from a place of you are enough, you are freed, even though there may be certain projections, judgments, all these narratives playing around in people's minds. And that's where Archangel Michael comes in for protection for these souls who are stepping up to speak their truth. Despite a lot of this, meaning when they do, it's going to release a huge amount of pressure and huge amount of fear within their energy body, is also what I'm going to share. So the more individuals do this, express themselves. For example, what came was Jerry girl while I was in Osaka, and at first what didn't know what that term meant, so I had to look it up, and it's like it meant boys who act like girls. So it's like the opposite of the labeling, so-called. These are labelings, right, as tomboys. Or what came recently for the past few days, I believe, was the lady boys. And this idea of ladyboys, it's all different in different cultures. A lot of ladyboys in Bangkok or Thailand in general, and they don't mind being called boys. But in US, they have carry a certain cultural wound or trauma that's been handed down and programmed among people when they have encountered a transsexual or a gay person. When someone uses the term ladyboy, they immediately react out in anger or dislike because of the programming. But how they use it, the energy behind the people who are using it in Thailand is very different from, so just like it could be a same word, for example, lady boy, the meaning is completely different, the energy behind is completely different and creates different reactions totally because of the all separation experimentations. So another thing that I'm going to share is they had me see all this this clip. There were 3 different individuals, one from Korea, one from China, one from Japan, and they're sharing the eating manners or the table manners, the differences between these different cultures. And these things, what I noticed was on a subconscious level, on a soul level, they're doing this to promote unity by creating understanding. You see, more empathy, more the energy of understanding through communication and through education is what I'm going to share. Because without education, without communication, it's so easy to misunderstand or create assumptions or it's misleading something based on one's own projections. We call overthinking, right? That further separates people or creates unnecessary hatred or resentment. But deep down, our nature is unconditional love. We want to be harmonious with the other person. When we communicate with an open heart, we can start to understand. And in the energy of empathy, both parties, when there's love, this fear or anger starts to dissipate. You see, that's how powerful of the heart energy or the energy of love transmutes all these energies of lower vibrations. So that when you are talking, and not in a manner of I am right over you, but honestly communicating, honestly sharing. To be honest, you also have to be very aware and connect with your own thoughts and emotions as well, and communicate. And when you communicate, you start to empathize. You put yourself in their shoes. Now I can understand why they were frustrated, and this other person can understand. Now I understand why they may be frustrating experiencing that. And then with that understanding, they are able to express, I am sorry and I love you. And they can laugh again together, you see? But this becomes harder as we grow up because we have more stuff that's blocking this. As a child, it's easier. So that's where all the communication is also very important, especially with this Mercury retrograde this year. Also right now there's taking place the Venus retrograde, the Mars retrograde. This was all to kind of help us look into our own way of communicating in these areas in the feminine, both the masculine, the Venus and the Mars, and with the Mercury together. So it's like the more we talk about this and share our truths or stories, and there will be people who are going to sincerely resonate, deeply resonate, and there are going to be people who are going to willing to support each other, help each other out, it's like for me, I am helping a lot of people, always providing support, but that doesn't mean I don't need support from you guys as well. You see what I mean? We need to work together. That's why, I constantly say reciprocation. Also, with that, I just want to share my gratitude to Jackie, who donated through my PayPal. So I really appreciate this, your donation, the support. So I appreciate, and I gladly and gratefully accept and receive, enjoy and love. And with that, I'm sending you lots of loving and healing energy. So I just take a moment to pray and meditate and send that energy to you. So I just want to, it just is coming up for me to share. So just like that, I also need people's support as well, because we all have this, we are here to help each other in one way or another. So with that, I had a very hard time before, growing up, because I had to take care of myself most of my life. Basically, I had to deal with my own emotions, deal with my own mental things, all this, the physical, the material, or the money issues that most of my life I had. I carried out a lot of the poverty consciousness, constantly on very strict budget and constantly sacrificing, working really hard. And I had to realize something, and every time I realized about the energy of abundance or the essence of abundance, it made me cry so hard. And from that moment, I remember I was so, after I quit my job, I didn't have much saving, and I wasn't working to get paid, right, basically. And so I had to literally survive, and I kept living with this energy. I kept praying, I kept communicating, even before I was waking up, had this initiation. That's how it's been my life. I always, in a way, that was a tool and a gift for me to navigate through the darkness. That I went through all these different phases, what it feels like to feel envious of someone. But for me, I never really directed or sent out direct hate, but I witnessed a lot of my family members or the people around me or friends, gossiping. But I always noticed and collected all this information about people, and including myself. And what kept me going to focus on growth was the curiosity. So instead of judging and projecting and targeting, I was very curious. How can one have such mindset? And what can I do to have that in my life? Or how can I grow? It was very growth oriented for me. So that took me where I am right now. And so it's something that is coming for me for some reason to share at this time for anyone resonating. When you use curiosity and start applying to yourself rather than sending out that energy outwardly, meaning go in, it's well, that's the mindset. Then what can I do to have that implemented in me? So I start to take actions. I start to write. I start to do certain affirmations. I start to listen to things that really help me grow and study and read. And it was very much committed, dedicated, consistent work, very persistent work throughout all my life. So that kept me one phase, and then another, and then another. There were always different challenges, but that's how I kept moving. And when I look back, I shared in one of the videos, I felt like a samurai or something is exactly, I saw this like, they had me see this UFC like competition. Even for me growing up in school, it was like, you know, what do you want to be when you grow? And someone says, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be the president, or I want to be a lawyer, like I want to be this and that. Like when I was growing up, right now, I heard that a lot of the kids say, I want to be the idol, the K-pop star, or something like that. That's considered very like high status to be in. But back then when I was in school, like it was like that. And when you say, oh, I want to be a carpenter, you're looked down on your dream. Like, what, carpenter? Why? And people get worried. Why do you want to have that? There was this kind of an idea, the caste or the hierarchy based on certain occupations or jobs, and I noticed start to go away little by little as the consciousness was rising, or the frequency of the earth was rising. But that was how it was when I was growing up back then. And also, like in that UFC, like when you're or a boxer, like you go to a ring, you get beat up. I get beat up, but I never really it's like I'm on the floor. There were a lot of times that I fell on the floor, like that I felt like I was gonna die, or that I had no energy to continue this fight. 1, 2, 3, and I stand back up. Boom, 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 boom. That's how I related to that so much, relating to the journey in this lifetime particularly. And I start to see that's what I have been doing. I start to take on all this karma. For example, I remember whenever I had a lot of anger towards my father, and trouble with him as well growing up. And I remember because he had carried a lot of heavy energies in his bloodline. And I remember he always, when he's home, we're always fighting. There's always anger shouted. And then 6, 7 years old, we are playing and laughing. It's the time when you just look at yourself and just laugh your belly out. Even though you see something on the face, ha ha ha, and then you start to we were doing this with my siblings. And then he's always tired from work, and he was working really hard as well. He was working very hard for the family too, and he grew up in a very so-called poor, uneducated background, but he was the one who went to school. And so he would be in the room and always getting angry at us for laughing and having a good time, or whenever we do this. It irritated him so much. You see, that's when you are out of tune, when you are tired and not in alignment, it could also create a lot of misunderstandings and projections easily, right? To be quiet or shut up or something, he just gets angry, explosive. And on a subconscious level, it created a lot of fear inside me. At the same time, I would get really angry at him because on a soul level, even as a child, I remember, if you're a parent, you're supposed to be happy when your children are happy, was what's on my mind. A happy family, the harmonious relationship is you're happy for each other's joy and happiness. But he was always the one tarnishing our joy, tarnishing my joy. You see, that's how we take on the karma, and how I start to take on anger. That's the victim consciousness. You see the attachments there, the soul contracts. So that's how it's been playing out. And so that's just a one example. Like, I don't know, for some reason I'm going to share that. So all this life is that's the process. I see every stage and everything, these moments and events. And at work, someone tried to throw me under the bus, my boss, and I got so angry I had to go directly to the head of the department because it was not legal to do that. And she thought that I would be okay when she offered this option. I was like, what the? I got so mad. I went to the department head and I directly communicated with him for this, what happened and what she was trying to do, and all this process. And while I was working with her at that finance in the bank industry, I learned so much about different things. I collected a lot of information about the shadow side of the human nature, and also the psychology of people, right? And she later came up to apologize, but I was like, what the? But back then I still had that anger towards her, but eventually I knew the karma will play out in her life, and it's not my job to do that. It's going to, like, what you put out, you receive. So that's how, a lot of these things, the little things, and they're also good memories as well. Like, I had some very fun and good people while I was working there, but this was a very challenging aspect that I had to be in, with a bigger soul purpose, that I wanted to collect certain information about the dark side of the human nature and how the humanity is playing out, and all of this. So so it's like a constant, like a fighter, and anger was a big thing for me to motivate myself to be better, because I was very angry at a lot of this injustice or this things that I noticed that's in conflict with the harmonious blueprint from my soul, I would say. I still had a lot of things that I was being aware of, even though I played out certain patterns. So but then now, I had to go to a point where I had to transform that into the energy of love, to open up the heart and all of that, and blah, 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 like, goes on and on and on. And, I'm still also learning and growing, right? So this journey goes on. So I'm just going to share all these things, just like all these little stories and bits and pieces that I'm guided to share in divine timing. So with this, because when we are in, and this is like a one representation of a lot of individuals in the collective, a lot of the people have their own unique stories, right? And we hold on to a lot of these energies, and we've been working to release them. And when we go to the future, we are creating a lot of these AI now, and with a lot of these people who want babies, or now it's going to be more acceptable for all unique types of relationships. Like, for example, this man, Western man, Thai lady boy, this relationship where he recognizes that who he loves is a lady boy, but to him he says he is her. Like, I see, for me, I love her, you see, but she doesn't have the female sexual reproductive system, still carries out the male reproductive system, but to him, she's still a woman. He looks like a woman. And so these kind of things will come up more in the collective as part of that truth or authentic expression of who they are, more boldly and without shame or guilt, that these souls were prepared to, that lady boy was prepared to come and reincarnate as that particular type, with a purpose to expose the world that this can also exist, to open up certain things for in the collective consciousness, for example, is what I'm going to share. But based on the moral standards of the judgment, there will be a lot of the morality judgment once again, based on targeted towards the man or that lady boy or the woman, however we resonate, right? So with that, Korea and Japan and China, like these people from this country, and they were sharing table manners. And I remember, like with my Japanese friends, we will also have these culture exchanges. And I remember, like, I learned, like, it was very interesting when I was in high school that they share that when you eat, you have to make sound that to show that this food is good, which comes from like validating the cook that this food is good or good, you are good enough. You see what I mean? There's that kind of pleasing mentality there in that culture that's expressed in different forms in Korea, whereas when you eat with sounds like that, noise, it's considered like uneducated or you're from a lower class family. We have something called yangban or something that's like in a aristocratic family or a certain class based on our own caste system, right? And we had the last name that represented certain caste, also that created a different discrimination. And this is like not just in Korean culture, but what I also received was also in Indian culture, also in Tibetan culture as well, which I newly learned. So we are to eat very slowly and silently as much as possible, like gracefully in a way. So when you make noise, so when you do this in another culture, it creates a total miscommunication or misunderstanding. You see what I mean? But the intention wasn't to be impolite or create disrespect. That's the commonality that's happening with the world that we live in separation. And also, we are not to hold our bowls to eat rice that's considered like lower class or uneducated. Always put everything down on the table. Part of it is because we had a lot of metal utensils. We used metal chopsticks, metal spoons that came from this king who was so afraid of being poisoned secretly. So he created, that's the story that I received, created this metal spoon so that when there's like poison in the food, that was very common tactic, right, to kill the king. When he puts the spoon, the color of the spoon like changes its color, so that's how they can tell. So something of that nature. But in Japan, they use a lot of wooden sticks and wooden bowls. And when even though they have hot soup, when it's wooden, it stores the heat, whereas a lot of the metal utensils are very conducive to heat. So in Korea, it's hard to hold the bowl, but in Japan, where it's relatively easier. You see, it's all also from a practical standpoint. And also what's interesting is in China, I knew this before as well, you have a guest, and when the host finds out that all the dishes are empty, where in Korea or Japan consider like that when you are being invited as a guest, It's polite to eat everything that you are given as like a respect or appreciation, that they appreciate the meal that they're offering or enjoyed it as a sign. But in China, when the plates are empty in this culture and it's empty, that's communication, or like silent communication that's commonplace in the culture, that you're still hungry. So you finished everything. So if you are full, you have to leave certain foods on the plate. So that indicates, or that communicates to the host or the cook that you're satisfied and you're full and happy. So it's different. You see what I mean? So this is all going on, and we're in the process of unifying these things through, once again, the Mercury is coming on very strong as a very powerful energy from this point onwards, for open, honest, truthful communication. That's where Archangel Michael is working on with the collective for Gaia's Ascension right now, very, very strongly from this point onwards, to bring out that unity consciousness in people's consciousness, collective consciousness. So as the Lightworkers or Divine Feminine Rising or whoever that is resonating, we are being called, or the soul, on a soul level, you will start to feel a very strong sense of urge that you want to speak your truth, you want to communicate in an honest manner, you want to express how you really feel, your love, your joy to someone or to people around you, and share that. And you want to share your talents and gifts without having to play yourself down to fit in. Like all this energy is to kind of create that unity consciousness on a bigger, higher perspective level. You see, just like in that movie, what's the Wonka, the latest one, with Timothy Chalamet. In that movie, when they eat chocolate, their hearts are open. They say they'll share their love. All of a sudden, before they're like, they hold on, or they hide, or they don't talk, or they doubt themselves because of their own insecurities. They start to overthink, right? That blocks them from communicating. And when they eat the chocolate, they start to open up, they share their love, they express, and they now know that they love each other, they dance. It's like it creates such happiness and joy in life, is what is coming for me right now, for me to share. So that's the world that we are heading towards it. We are still preparing for that. We are working on that, right? So these pioneer groups, or the people who are opening more, are being protected with Archangel Michael, these individuals, so that they are in a safe, protective bubble, or the space that they can gain or courage to further open up their heart, feeling safe, and then speak their truth out, reveal. And so on a political level, economic level, a lot of these hidden things will be revealed, be to the light. And with this light, a lot of people who carried or have accrued a lot of heavy karma, you will see them choosing to end their life out of extreme guilt and shame because of these light codes. What they have done created a lot of harm to so many people, for example, or what they've been doing in hidden sight is being revealed. So when I was in Osaka, I shared this a little bit. I shared about this like really weird sexual energies, like that I describe as like, that I felt as like almost dirty, was something that was going on that needed to be revealed. And I came across this source in Gaia had me receive this information. One of this really well-known animator and they had me see this animation, like kind of in animation review when I was in Korea last year. And it was that the creator, the animator who created this, and this was a very popular one. And he was revealed that he had sexual encounters with a lot of children and minor and all this, like paying for like sex, and this all this exchanges that was going on behind the scenes that was not clean, and so like so-called dirty once again. So he's now, that is coming to reveal all of a sudden. So these are just exposing. So that's where the karmic justice comes in. Also another very popular, well-known actor in Korea that's well-known in a lot of countries with his popular dramas. Up until last month, he was on TV promoting his next drama, and suddenly about 2 weeks ago or so, he started to be exposed of this relationship with another actress who killed herself recently. And she started as a young child actor, and it was revealed that they had a relationship when she was a minor, basically like a teenager. And there were a lot of clips and videos that were like being revealed, exposed, and all of a sudden he's out of all this advertisement deals, and now his drama is, they're not sure whether to expose his dramas or because like he has a like bad influence now, all of a sudden. Before he was the one who was looked up to, and just overnight. And recently he had a kind of a media conference denying that he admitted that they had a relationship, but she wasn't a minor when they had a relationship, but there were other evidence and proofs coming up that revealed otherwise, and all this like. So just an example, what I'm going to share this is just showcasing the kind of the drama, the chaos, the turmoil, and recent tariff policy towards foreign tariff policies with the US government will create a lot of the mental, this further morality judgment, the pros and cons, and this will benefit our country, this is not going to, what this is will do good and this will do bad. All this morality judgment will still be very playing out heavily. It's all part of the process to bring that negativity out, duality out to the light. And while it's being revealed, meaning people being triggered, it's gonna bubble up, bubble up. That's dark night of the soul. Yeah, the dark night of the, what is it? The shadow journey. It's taking shape on a collective level is what I'm going to share. So all these things could come up, all these things in different sectors. People trying to have a say, the morality judgment. And with this world, all the souls are having given the choice once again, whether to go in or to continue to play out the old ways, the addictions. And so now it's going to further separate, and this ideas of comparison and competitive energy and the jealousy and envy and hatred will also may exacerbate because of this earth separation and further splitting is what I'm going to share, because you can see their life. You can have a glimpse of these people who are living in a place or frequency of joy, happiness, alignment, contentment, gratitude, therefore abundance, that's starting to show in all areas of their life. And the people who are still in lack, projecting, or refusing to look within themselves, being able to have exposed to their life, they can use this as the guiding light. I want to, what can I do? How can I transform myself to be in that? Because that is enough for everyone mentality. So it's very important. The mindset is very important, from being a victim to a creator mindset, which we are working on with the fire energy for the next 3 years. And then 3 years after that with metal and earth, that's solidifying the structure based on this blueprint that we are connecting with our higher self, the monad, the Goldprint from the blueprint from for the golden age of Atlantis, or the new golden age. So we are downloading this right now at this moment as I'm speaking. So that is the process. So getting into this vision, so we start to do the lay work and we start to structure. So that's the energy in the collective for the first 3 and at least the next 6 years at large. So the details may come as I go along with, working with Gaia Source and my spirit team and other galactic angelic support. But that's what I'm guided to share, so that you have a bigger perspective understanding, so we don't get sucked into these little things like the Farsi. We focus or fixate on so much of the things that, oh my God, like attachments, I lost that and my life or my day is ruined instantly. This trip is no longer fun. All I'm focusing on is blaming myself or what I have done, what I lost. While you have a bigger perspective, it's nothing. Life is much bigger. Life. We forgot to live, right? Because we are in exploitative mind, colonizing mind, trying to take over mind. And with this new policies being introduced and reinforced now with the new leadership in US, it's going to trigger a lot of different countries and the political scenes. And now I received the information all of a sudden Japan, China, and Korea is merging as alliance to go against this, because it's going to impact their economy and their export to US, which create a lot of revenues for them. It's a big revenue stream for them. You see what I mean? So all these unions and federations are going to start to form in different continents, but this is all temporary, as I shared in one of the latest videos. The North America or South America or Africa or this new European or something, Middle East, I don't know, but at least for now, like this Asian countries with very traumatic history that used to hate each other, it's not because they have forgiven and they unified fully, but it's temporary for their own benefits. You see? That's a lot of the business mind. One day you're my enemy, next day you could be my ally, and they don't care as long as I carry certain benefits and profits for me. So like that's what they're doing right now. So a lot of things are going to be shaken up, but it's all temporary. The word temporary, transient, transitional is what is coming. So as a light worker, as anyone resonating and connecting with this message and the video and the energy here, you all to continue to hold your ground, live your daily reality in peace, love, harmony, joy, abundance, and also with your wisdom of discernment, right, and detachment, so that you can help from the plane of view. You can support and also allow yourself to receive support, receive help. I also receive your support, receive your help. So something of that nature. It's all continued to come in beautiful reciprocation, And what is coming, watch what someone does rather than what they say. Right? And more so, watch the patterns of the actions. If that's who they are, it's going to effortlessly, natural for them to be or play out that actionable patterns. But if someone is masking, or they have, it was part of the strategy, at a certain point in time, it's going to be very hard for them to maintain that image or the masking, you see. It masks fall off. So that's the reality we live in. It's not from like a kind of a cynical place that it's very easy to go into, but we just need to continue to observe and witness and discern. Once again, not from a place of judgment, but place of decision making for yourself, to align with the new earth frequency, so-called, or the energies. So we are living in a very interesting time right now, right? So with that, I was given a lot of information about the new AI developments, and what we need to be cautious of and be aware of, this technological advancements. Let me just tap in whether they want me to share this too, because I feel like I've been recording this for quite some time now. Okay, they're telling me that I don't need to share all of this today and right now, so I will just end it here. Wrap it up here. Is there anything else that you want me to share at this time? The last message? They're saying to remind people, don't forget to smile, don't forget to laugh, don't forget to dance, to align with this beautiful divine energy of flow. That's the free energy. When we are in the flow state of the free energy, the reason why it's called free energy is because it's not losing energy. When the energy is a lot of these buildings and electricities are like EMF, and nuclear stuff is based on electrical charge circuit, which is the counterclockwise. But the magnetic energy is clockwise and going inward, spiraling inward. With that, when that happens, it does not lose energy. And you will see the spiral movements. This metal stick, you put it in water, it starts to rise up with the water, and then when it absorbs the hydropower and conducting into the metal, you put it somewhere in the water, it starts to break. So that's the power of the divine feminine energy, or the magnetic energy, that we are starting to understand through sacred geometry and numbers applied to engineering, arts and science, and the housing, or whatever, the architecture, the village, the communities for the new earth is what I'm going to share, that I also received as information that I had to study a bit, meditate, reflect on that information for consolidation. So basically, when you go inward, you do not lose energy, so you can use that to transform. But when it's constantly projected, targeted outwards, it's all scattered. You have no energy. You are in depletion, which represents lack. When you have a lot of energy, it's the abundance. When you are in lack and out of alignment, it's easier to get irritated. It's easier to get dependent and get angry when you don't receive what you need and want. Impatience, right? Frustration and anger. And also, if you live in abundance, you're always in a joyful, content state where you feel like you already have everything that you need. But in lack state, we are always asking, using affirmation to manifest to more, expecting more, which some people may say is part of the manifestation because it's an infinite world and we can still manifest from an egoic place or a higher place. And we want to go higher and transform. And when you need nothing, you get everything. It's, you see the what is it called, the irony of that in a human sense, understanding sense right now, but that's how it works. When you are freed, when you are detached, that's the magnetic energy that we are working once again, or gaining wisdom from all the civilizations, all the souls with their blueprints, gold prints activating, the children with their gold prints already imprinted on them, remembering, they're bringing this up to rebuild. But before that, crumble time, we're crumbling the old. Okay, so I think that's all for today. So let's smile. Laugh. And exchange your smile, exchange your laughter, and then dance. So I don't know where my dance video will be next, but if it comes in divine timing with some sort of music, I look forward to sharing my joy then. So until then, I wish you a beautiful day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.